Hello, welcome to the course on emerging domain electronics engineering. This is lecture 27, and in this lecture we will see what is wireless communication, what are the advantages, disadvantages, what is the application areas corresponding to the wireless communication, what is the evaluation of the telecom of this wireless communication system. Next we will see the GPRS, CDMA, 3G, 4G, the satellite communication and the radar. So, first what is the wireless communication? So, wireless communication involves the transmission of information or the message over a distance without use of the wires or without use of the guided media, means the cables, the twisted pair cables, the coaxial cable, which is not required, means we are transmitting directly over the means without the use of wire. It is called as a wireless communication. So, basically wireless communication is a broad term that incorporates all the procedures and form of connecting and communicating between two or more devices using a wireless signal through the wireless communication technology and the devices. So, we have a small block diagram corresponding to the wireless communication, which is having the first thing is the information, the message, the data what we want to transmit it, source encoding means we will perform the encoding, so that we will add some bits, parity bits we can add. So, these are some schemes are there, source coding techniques are there. After that the encryption is that we are basically hiding our information, we will change the pattern of the information which is to be transmitted, so that during the wireless transmission no one can basically decode our signal, no one can capture our signal, and no one can basically decode the signal. So, that is why encryption is required. Channel encoding, again these are the techniques for the encoding of the channel. Next, modulation, as we have seen that with the help of modulation the transmission distance, the strength of the signal can be improved, so that these signals can be travel at large distances. And again without modulation we can say that the low frequency signal is highly attenuated with the help of by the noise. So, if we increase the frequency of the signal, that is why if we are able to modulate the signal, then the effect of noise will be very small, very less. After that the multiplexing, we have seen that what is multiplexing, that we are utilizing a same channel to transmit multiple signals simultaneously, it is called as the multiplexing. So, we have seen that we have two techniques, time division multiplexing and frequency division multiplexing. After that we have the channel. Now, the channel is what? Channel is wireless. Wireless means we will see that what kind of wireless channel we have. We have, let us say, air, we have underwater, it can act as a channel. So, now after the multiplexing, the reverse, at the receiver side or at the reception path, we have the demultiplexing, which is opposite of multiplexing, demodulation, again opposite of modulation, channel decoding, decryption and source decoding. So, means at the receiver side we just perform the opposite task which we have performed at the transmitter side. So, this is a small block diagram corresponding to the wireless communication system. So, what are the advantages of wireless communication? So, advantages we can assume as that, means those places where laying down a wire is bit complicated, is let us say very tough, like hills. So, at these particular areas the wireless communication is very means wireless communication is basically a good method. So, the advantages are cost effectiveness, flexibility, means we can easily move from one place to another place, because we are not connected by a wire, we are just connected to a network wirelessly. Now, convenience, speed accessibility and the constant connectivity, which is the best advantage, that we are able to connect. Let's say we can assume also that if we have the Wi-Fi installed in a building, in a home, then we can move from one room to another room. So that is the advantage of the wireless communication. But the disadvantage is less secure, because the signals are transmitted into the air directly, so anyone can capture the signals, but we have performed the encryption, but we can say that these are less secure, because these signals are, means this wireless communication utilizes the air for the transmission, so anyone can basically capture the signals. Unreliability, more open to interference. This is again the important thing in wireless communication. Interference means these signals, if we will talk about, let's say, optical signals, RF signals. So these RF signals, due to rain, due to thunderstorm, right, these signals may be they may face some interference due to this thunderstorm, lightning, rains and all. These buildings also, they also create the interference, because we can assume this case as if we are in a basement under the ground, let's say. So the quality, the strength of the signal basically decreases, and if we are going down, then again the strength is 0. Increases chance of jamming. So jamming is a method, is a technique by which anyone can block the signal, means the corresponding frequencies can be captured, can be blocked. So if someone is aware that in this particular medium we have this particular range of frequency, so the person can jam those signals. So this is again a drawback. So transmission speed is comparatively less with, let's say, with the cables. Let's say if we talk about the optical fiber, the coaxial cable, so the speed here is high for these wired medium, but for wireless medium the speed is comparatively low. But the application areas for the wireless communications, starting from the satellite systems we have in our home, that direct to home, it is an example of satellite system. Television remote, that basically works with a infrared LED system. So IR LED is fitted, infrared LED is fitted in our television, in our remote basically, and the detector is basically fitted in the television. So we can control the television from a long distance. Wi-Fi, which is wireless fidelity. We will talk more about Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi, with the help of this Wi-Fi we can surf the internet, we can use the internet while we are roaming also. Paging system, WiMAX, security systems, cell phones. Previously we have the landline phones, so that requires a copper wire, and if we want to talk to, if we want to use that telephones, so we must be near to these telephones and we can communicate. But with the help of the cell phones we can roam to any other place while talking. That is the advantage. So the computer interface devices, like we have nowadays, we have the wireless mouse, wireless keyboard, so we can use the computers, we have the wireless printers available, so we can communicate, means these devices can be communicated with the PC, with the computer from a long distance also. We have some techniques, Bluetooth, GPS and the GSM. So we will talk about this GSM somewhere in 2G, second generation. So these are the application areas of wireless communication. Now we will move to the evolution of mobile radio communication. So how this mobile radio communication has been evolved, starting from the first generation 1G, the second generation which is called as a GSM, global system for mobile communication, the third G which is called as UMTS, 4G which is LTE, and we have the 5G, fifth generation. This is again in India right now it is not deployed, but it is in a working phase. So somewhere around maybe in the next 6-7 months we'll be able to see this 5G also. So starting with the first generation. So first generation basically it utilizes the basic analog voice with no IP. No IP was there. After that the bit rate was 0 kbps because we are not able to send the packets. So one network for voice, and it utilizes NMT, AMPS and TACS. Whereas in the 2G second generation, which is called as the, which is in the 1990s, digital voice with no IP but having a data rate of 14 kbps, 14 kilobits per second. Again it is having a single network for voice. So we have these standards GSM IS 95 2.5G, which is called as a GPRS and Edge. GPRS and Edge, these are services which are the enhanced version of 2G, enhanced version of 2G, which is 2.5G. Next we will have the third generation, which is called as the UMTS. So third generation is basically the digital voice. This era was 2000, and we have the internet and the multimedia having a data rate of 2 Mbps, whereas we have one network for IP and we have one network for voice and one network for IP, means we have two networks. One will take care for voice and one will take care for the IPs. We have UMTS, these are techniques CDMA 2000, 3.5, HSDPA, HSUPA, HSPA plus. So these are the advanced technologies in 3G, means less than 4G, before 4G, but advanced version of 3G. After that we have the 4G, which is called as the LTE, long term evolution, which is the era 2010. We have the voice over IP. Previously what we have is we have one channel for voice, one channel for IP. Now we have utilizes voice over IP. So this is the voice over IP, VoIP. HD videos can be transmitted because the data rate was very high. In 3G we are able to achieve only 2 Mbps data rate, but in 4G we are able to achieve 300 Mbps. So here we have one network for IP. So the higher versions of LTE is LTE Advanced, one is 4.5G, LTE Advanced Pro. So these are the higher versions of 4G. After that we have the 5G, which is nowadays in a research, it is in the deploying phase. Somewhere around 6 or 7 months we are going to see that what is 5G. Basically it has to be deployed around 2020, but it is late. So voice over IP, we have VX, V2X, IoTs, IoT, Internet of Things. So Internet of Things is basically a very important technology, because with the help of this more number of devices can be communicated to the internet, more number of devices. We will be seeing this internet protocol version 6 also, because IPv version 4 that was not able to connect, because that is having an address limitation for IPv4, but IPv6 internet protocol version 6 having higher number of, means or many number of devices can be connected to the internet having different addresses. So the data rate was 1 Gbps. Previously we achieved only 300 Mbps. So we have a LTE Advanced Pro with NR. So this is the evolution of mobile radio communication. Now we have this small table which basically compares the 4G and 5G technique. So first is 4th generation. As we have seen that in a 4th generation we achieve a speed 2 Mbps to 1 Gbps, whereas in 5G we can achieve 1 Gbps and higher depending upon the need, because more number of IoT devices are connected. Frequency band is 2 to 8 GHz. here we have 3 to 300 gigahertz, means we are working at now higher frequencies. Standards, we have A1 access convergence including OFDMA, MCCDMA and network LMPS. Technologies in 4G are unified IP, seamless integration of broadband LAN, WAN and personal area network, and WLAN. Services offered by 4Gs are dynamic information access, wearable devices. This is again wearable. Nowadays we are wearing watch, sensors over a body. So these are the wearable devices. HD streaming, global roaming also allowed in this 4G. Multiple access was CDMA technology. Code division multiple access is used in the 4G technique. CDMA core network was all IP based network was there. Handoff horizontal and vertical, in both the ways the handoff was there. In 5G we have CDMA and BDMA technology. Again we have the unified IP, seamless integration of broadband, which is LAN, WAN, PAN, WLAN, and advanced technologies based on OFDM, orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. In 5G, dynamic information accessing, wearable devices, HD streaming, and the demand of user, means on the basis of the user, if user demands something, he can see that. CDMA, BDMA, flatter IP network, 5G network interfacing, NI. And again the horizontal and vertical handoff is allowed in 5G. So these are some applications of starting from first generation to fifth generation. So first is, in the first generation the application was analog cellular phones having a speed of 2.4 kbps. In the second generation we have the digital cellular technology, speed of 64 kbps. Mobile broadband having a speed of 200 kbps. Again we have the LTE having a speed of 100 mbps. And finally in the fifth generation, the development in the progress, but somewhere it will be introduced in 2021, having a speed of 10 gbps. So after that we will move to GPRS. As we have seen in the second generation that around 2.5G it was GPRS, and 2.75 is somewhat edge before 3G but somewhat greater than 2.5G. So GPRS, General Packet Radio Service, is a third generation step towards the internet access. So GPRS is also known as the GSM over IP, that is a global system for mobile communication over internet protocol, and it keeps the user for the systems online. So even TDMA, time division multiple access, users benefit from this system as it provides a packet radio access. This is the important thing around for the GPRS, that packet radio access was allowed. So GPRS also permits the network operator to execute an internet protocol IP based core architecture for the integration of voice signal and the data applications. That will be basically continued to be used and expanded for the 3G services. So although this GPRS was absolute nowadays because we are in a fourth generation, so but this is a technique for this is the wireless communication technique, GPRS. So the GPRS specifications was basically written by ETSI, European Telecommunication Standard Institute. So this is a counterpart of ANSI, which is American National Standard Institute. Key features, we can say that the always online feature was there, means the user can be present online all the time, but it removes the dial-up process. Previously what happened, that in a second generation there was a dial-up process, means first we need to go through this particular procedure, then only we will be able to communicate, then only we will be able to connect with the internet. So by this basically making all the applications only one click away, means just clicking that and we are able to communicate with the internet. Next key feature is it provides upgradation to the existing system. So operators basically do not have to replace their equipments like in 4G, means the 3G enabled set or the 3G enabled device will not work over 4G. So a user has to basically change its equipment. But for GPRS, if we have a 2G system, then we don't need to basically replace the system, means the whole equipment can be work for the 3G also. So GPRS is added on the top of the existing infrastructure. Third is the key feature is an integral part of the future systems, which is the 3G. So GPRS is the packet data core network for 3G systems, edge and wireless CDMA, WCDMA. So GPRS basically helps the 3G systems and edge system, WCDMA systems also. So the goals of GPRS. So the goal of GPRS is towards an end-to-end wireless infrastructure and has the following goals: open architecture, consistent IP services. After that, same infrastructure for different air interface, integrated telephony and the internet infrastructure, leverage industry investment in IP, service innovation independent of the infrastructure. So these are the goals of the GPRS. Now we have the GSM. If we can recall that GSM was 2G, second generation. So GSM stands for Global System for Mobile Communication. It is a digital cellular technology. Previously in 1G we have analog technology, but in 2G in GSM we have the digital cellular technology used for transmitting mobile voice and data services. Important facts about this GSM are: the concept of GSM basically emerged from a cell based mobile radio system at the Bell Laboratories, very famous laboratory, in early 1970s. So GSM is the name of a standardized group established in the 1982 to create a common European mobile telephone standard. So GSM is a circuit switching system that divides each 200 kilohertz channel into the 8 2.5 kilohertz time slot. GSM basically operates on the mobile communication bands of 900 megahertz and 1800 megahertz in most part of the world, but in US is, I think it basically works up to the 1900 megahertz also. So basically GSM its own market, 70% of the market were captured by GSM worldwide digital cellular subscriber. So this was a previous scenario, but nowadays we have means in GSM it make use of a narrowband time division multiple access, TDMA technique for transmitting signals. GSM was developed using digital technology and it has the ability to carry 64 kbps to 120 mbps of data rate, means this much high data rate we can carry in the GSM. So this presently GSM support more than 1 billion mobile subscriber in more than 210 countries throughout the world. GSM provides basic to the advanced voice and the data services, including roaming service. So roaming is the basically the ability to use our GSM mobile phone in another GSM network, that is called as a roaming. So GSM basically digitize and compress data, then it sends it down through a channel with two other streams of user data, each in its own time slot. So, these are the features. First feature is the improved spectrum efficiency. International roaming facility is also provided by the GSM. Low cost mobile sets and base stations. High quality of speech signals are there, and compatibility with the ISDN, which is the integrated service digital network, and other telephone company services, and it supports for the new services also. So, these are the features of GSM. So, that is why this, due to these features, the GSM was very popular. Now, this counterpart, we have the CDMA, code division multiple access. So, it is a sort of basically the multiplexing technique that facilitates various signals to occupy a single transmission channel, because again it is a multiplexing technique. It optimizes the user of available bandwidth. The technology is commonly used in the ultra high frequency band, UHF band. So, bands ranging between the 800 megahertz and 1.9 gigahertz. CDMA system is very difficult from time and frequency multiplexing. So, in this basically a user has access to the whole bandwidth for the entire duration, but that was not seen in case of TDM and FDM. In case of time division multiplexing, because for each user some time slot was allotted. Similarly, for frequency division multiplexing, some frequency band was allocated for the user, but CDMA the whole band as well as the whole entire time slot was available. So, the basic principle is that different CDMA codes are used to distinguish among the different user, means different codes are assigned for the different users. So, in this way we can differentiate between these two users. The advantages of CDMA is CDMA requires a tight power control as it suffers from near far effect. In other words, a user near the base station transmitting with the same power will drone the signal later. All signals must have more or less equal power at the receiver. Rake receivers basically can be used to improve the signal reception. Delay version of the time, which is called as chip or later, of the signals. So, flexible transfer may be used. Mobile base stations can be switched without changing the operators. Two base stations receive mobile signals and the mobile receiver signals from the two base stations. Transmission bus which reduces the interference. Next, the disadvantage, the code length must be carefully selected for each user, because a large code length can induce delay or may cause the interference. Time synchronization is required. Now, the gradual transfer increases the use of radio resources and may reduce the capacity also. So, as the sum of the power received and the transmitted from the base station needs constant tight power control, this can result in the several handoff also. So, now we have the elements of satellite communication. So, satellite communication, it consists of many earth stations on the ground and they are linked with the satellite in space. The user is connected to earth station through a terrestrial station, and this network may be telephonic switch or a well established link to a earth station. So, the basic elements for the satellite communication are the earth satellite, earth station, satellite, terrestrial system and the user. User, terrestrial system, earth system and the satellite. These are the basic elements of a satellite communication system. So, basically what is the user? User basically generates a baseband signal or the massive signal that is that basically proceeds through a terrestrial network and transmitted to a satellite through the earth station. The satellite basically consists of large number of repeaters in the space that perform the reception of the modulated RF carrier. In the uplink, means when we are transferring to the satellite from the earth station in the present network. So basically repeaters basically amplifies these carriers and retransmit them back to the earth station in the downlink. So there are, one is the uplink once we are sending to the satellite, and downlink when the information is coming back to the earth station from the satellite, that is called as a downlink. So in order to avoid the interference, downlink frequency spectrum should be different from the uplink frequency spectrum. So these both the spectrums, the uplink and downlink, will be different, and the signals at the receiving earth station in process to get the baseband signal back, it is sent to the user through a terrestrial network. So user can basically receive our signal. Radar. So radar basically is a radio detection and ranging system. It basically an electromagnetic system used to detect the location and the distance of any object. So radar basically consists of synchronizer, transmitter, we have one transmitter antenna, duplexer switch, receiver, power supply and display. These are the components of basically a radar system. It operates on a ultra high frequency and the microwave frequency range. So the waves, the microwaves are transmitted from this. Once we have, let's say we want to predict the distance, so these waves will get reflected back, and again the antenna will capture those signals. So we have basically the components, the elements of radar, starting with the transmitter. The waveguide is basically the medium through which the waves are propagated. The duplexer, receiver, threshold decision device was there. So these are the elements of radar system. The applications: air traffic controller, weather monitoring, remote sensing, speed measurement and the planetary observation. These are the application areas of satellite and radar communications. So these are the references. Thank you.